Welcome to the most beginner-friendly Google Antigravity course. In the next few hours, I will teach you everything from setting up your first workspace to deploying a small SaaS product. We start with the setup, where you will prepare your workspace and get everything ready. Then you'll learn how the dashboard works and understand overall project architecture. After that, we'll move into the practical builds. First, you'll create a landing page. Then you'll build an AI news system that automatically collects and organizes information. Next, you'll create a lead scraper and verification system, followed by a travel dashboard that visualizes real data. After that, you'll build a simple full-stack SaaS product so you understand how complete systems work from start to finish. And finally, you'll create your own portfolio website where you can showcase all your builds and use it to present your work or offer your own solutions. By the end of this course, you'll have a complete understanding of Google Antigravity and several real projects you can use and build upon. My name is Leandro Ferrari, I'm a lieutenant in the Swiss Army and a top-rated Upwork freelancer running my own automation agency. My goal is to help you make money with AI. Before we do anything inside of Antigravity, we need to download Google Antigravity. So you can go to antigravity.google or just press the link right here and you'll see it popping up and you can just download it right here. Now that we did that, let's open up our first workspace. So we go to Antigravity right here, and this is what will show up. Maybe you will get asked some questions if you download it the first time. Just skip through them, we go through the settings anyway. You come here to open folder, just like that, and Antigravity runs locally, right? It runs on your desktop. So you need to create a new folder on your desktop, and there all your files will be stored. So just go to new folder, and we call it tutorial, and we create the folder just like this. You press on open, and right now, yes, I trust the authors, you have your first Antigravity workspace in front of you. Before we start working, let's make sure we have the right settings. So we go back to Antigravity, and there are two ways to get there. Way number one is you press on Antigravity on the top left, and you can go to settings right here to Antigravity settings, or the easier way, you have this settings icon on the right. You press on here and you just go to open Antigravity user settings, and these are my settings currently. When I first started using Antigravity, I always had to press proceed, and it slowed me down. That's why my settings currently are quite liberal. I give the agent lots of freedom, and I would encourage you to do the same thing, especially for this tutorial, since we're not doing anything that could cause anyone harm. So have a quick look at how I have my settings currently. Maybe read through the settings for a second and then decide if you want to follow my example or if you want to change some bits. The tutorial will still work even if you change something, so it's all fine. This is just how I have it. To get out of this view again, all you can do is press this red icon and close the window, and we are back in our workspace. For Antigravity to run properly, you want Chrome as your default browser. Probably you have Chrome already. If you haven't, then just go to your system settings. You can type in browser, you go to default web browser right here, and now you can change your default web browser. So you see these are the browsers I have available, and I choose Google Chrome to be my default web browser, and that's it. Let's now understand the dashboard. The first thing that we are learning is how to change the LLM that we are talking to inside of Antigravity. Antigravity is an IDE, and IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. It is a software application that combines essential developer tools such as a code editor, a debugger, build automation tools into a single unified graphical user interface to make software development more efficient and productive. So what you see right here is an IDE, a agent-first IDE. And if we drag this panel and make it a little bit bigger, you see that in here you can change the LLM that you are talking to. You can change from Gemini to Claude, and mostly you will just use those two. You will not use the open source ChatGPT one. You will be switching between Gemini 3 Pro High and Claude Sonnet 4.5 mostly. If we quickly go back to our school community, you see that in here you get the idea which LLM is better for what. So Gemini is amazing for design, layout ideas, UI, UX, and creative tasks. Claude is amazing for solving code issues, debugging, writing, and refactoring code. You saw how you can change your LLM. Let's now get an understanding of the interface that we will be looking at for the next few hours. So Our interface is split up in 3 different panels. We have the right side where our agent is living, let's say, where we can talk to our agent. We have the left side, and in here all the files that we will be creating, that Gemini and Claude will be coding, will show up. And in the middle we can actually have a look at those files. In a few minutes we will do our first prompt, we will have our first file showing up, and then you'll see them listed on the left side. We could, however, just as an example, create a new file right here. We can call it gemini.md and just write So you see that on the left side we have a file, and in the middle we can actually inspect that file. We can create a new file, we can call it .env, for example, just like that, and again and now you see we have 2 files. We can press on one and we see this one, we press on env, we see this one, and we can also change from here, and we can close those files again. Now it asks me if I want to save it or not, so I don't save it, and this one as well, I don't save it, and now we have our empty little workspace again right here. Everyone likes to work differently, and in Antigravity you actually have the option to customize your dashboard layout. Let me show you how this works. You come into Antigravity and you can just drag those panels along. Now that it's empty, it doesn't make lots of sense, but once you have lots of files here, maybe they confuse you and you want to close them completely. Or you want to bring them back, or you want to inspect them closer and make it bigger. Maybe you want to have a good look at what your agent is telling you, and you want to see the thinking process as well. So all you do is you make it a little bit taller, or bigger, just like that. You can also toggle this on and see the terminal at the same time, and once again you can just drag those things along and everything works beautifully. Press on it again and it will be removed. You can press this one to make the left hand side remove. You can just drag it and it will come back again, and you can do the same thing with the right side. You can come and grab it and it will come again. So these are some options on how to change the layout of your dashboard, and you will see once you get comfortable with it what you like the best. Mostly the only thing I am changing is I'm making these a little bit smaller or bigger depending on the task and the state of the project that it's currently in. Let's create our first few files inside of the workspace by prompting Antigravity. When you give Antigravity a task, you'll see that it automatically creates files, modifies files, and organizes things inside of the workspace. This is where you see the IDE part of Antigravity in action. So let's come to Antigravity and give it a prompt. The first prompt I gave Antigravity was, can you please create some mockup files for me and a directive on how to create them. So what I want are some Python scripts, some code, and a directive, meaning instructions on how to create those files. It then quickly asked me for what topic I want these files to be, and I told it for my YouTube tutorial, and right now we will get those files. You see the task list that it automatically created. You see that it clarified the requirements with me and is now creating Python mockup scripts called Hello YouTube, Course Manager, and Data Analyzer, and will then create a directive, meaning instructions for itself on how to create and use them. And now on the left side you actually see them showing up. You have the Data Analyzer. If you press on it, you will see it here in the middle. You have the Course Manager, just like that, and Hello YouTube right here. And we have a directive. This is in plain English, so in the way that we talk, which explains us exactly what the scripts are for, what they contain, and so on and so on. These directives are on the one hand for us to actually use it, to go through it, to maybe change things, but also for the agent if he has to do it a second time. So it explains what those scripts are for, and if I give it a task which could use this script, the agent now actually knows where to find it and what it is able to do. What we did right now is just prompt it and let it create something. Before we start real projects, however, we want to instruct our AI agent properly, and this is what we are doing right now. Let's create a new workspace for this. So we are going to Antigravity, we go to File right here, we go to Open Folder, like this. We create a new folder and we will call it first workflow, because this is the time where we will actually be building our first workflow. So we will create this, we will open it, and you will see a blank anti-gravity workspace in front of you. Before we go back to anti-gravity, let me explain you what DOE means. DOE is the framework that we will use to instruct our AI agents. DOE stands for Directive, Orchestration, and Execution. So as you see, we have 3 different layers. You've seen before that we gave a prompt to our AI agent. What did he do? He created scripts for us, right? You saw this Python code on the one hand, but you also saw something else. You saw that it had normal text in another file, which I called a directive. So what I told the agent before, just for visual purposes, is to do Python and a directive. Let's inspect the directive layer quickly. In the directive layer, we will have general instructions for the agents on how to solve certain tasks. These are in plain language, so just as we talk in the workflow before, or in the prompt before, we told the agent to write a directive, right? You saw the directive, so they are in plain language, and this is important because this is the part which we humans would actually touch. So the directives tell the agent how to accomplish a certain task, what tools to use to accomplish this task, and what the desired outcome will be. And this is something that we humans afterwards can change. A team member, for example, can change. So it's super important that those directives are in normal, plain language. The next layer we are inspecting is the execution layer. Essentially, in the execution layer, we will find scripts, so Python scripts, which act as tools to achieve certain outcomes. So if I want to create a scraper, for example, I tell the AI agent that I want that. The AI agent will work, and the result will be a script, so some .python file, let's say scraper.py, like this, a script which knows how to scrape the thing that I want to scrape. Maybe it's a directory that we will scrape later on in the course. So this is what the agent will do. It will create a script, and this script acts as a tool to achieve a certain outcome. In the general instructions that we will afterwards give our agent, we will tell it that every time we want to solve a problem or the agent has a task, what we want it to do is, on the one hand, create the script, so let's say create the solution, but also create a directive, meaning creating instructions on how to use this script, when to use this script, so that when we ask the agent to do the same task a second time, so let's say we build this lead scraper and we build it for a second time, the agent does not have to rebuild it from scratch. All the agent can do is it can read the instructions right here, it can read the directive, and it can then go and execute this script. So every time we do something, we want the agent to create a directive and an execution script, and the agent will be in the middle layer, which we will look at now quickly. Let's now have a look at the third and final layer, the orchestration layer, which in the end is where our agent is living. So let's say we have a project or we have a workspace and we already built multiple things in there. We have a social media scheduler, we have an email replier, and so on. So we have multiple different directives, multiple different instructions on how to achieve certain goals, and we have multiple different tools, meaning multiple different Python scripts on how to actually execute on those tasks. Our agent now lives in the middle, so when it gets an input from us, so it gets a prompt where we say do Y. We tell it schedule this post on social media. The agent will go and have a look if we have already done this. If it realizes, yes, I actually know how to do, we already did that once, it will grab this social media LinkedIn directive, let's say, It will read through this, and in this directive there will be written that we need to use the tool LinkedIn Scheduler to actually get the task done. So all the agent can do is resort to this tool and actually get the task done. So we have the directives on the top, let's say, with the instructions. We have our execution scripts or our tools that we are using, and we have the agent in the middle that gets a prompt, searches for instructions on how to get this task done. If it has it, it will use the tool that it already created. If it doesn't has it yet, then it will create the tool by coding it and create a directive on how to achieve this goal, achieve this result the next time again without having to code it again because it already did it. How do we give our agent these instructions and how do they actually look like? Let's have a look at it right here. So we tell Antigravity that it lives in a 3-layer architecture and that every project follows this architecture. We have layer number 1, the directives, the instruction layer, and this is written in Markdown. It looks like SOPs or internal documents, just like I explained before. It describes the goals, the inputs, the outputs, which script to use, and what we do if we find edge cases. Layer number 2 is this is you, or the main agent. So we tell the agent, this is you. You are the orchestrator. The agent's job is to read the directives, decide what to do next, call the right scripts, handle errors, and improve the system over time. The agent doesn't scrape websites itself, it reads a directive and then runs the right execution tool to actually do that. So this layer is about thinking and routing and not about doing. Layer number 3 is the execution layer. This is the layer that's actually doing the work. And in here we have Python scripts. The Python scripts will use the API keys that we have, obviously, and these are the things that our deterministic layer will do. And deterministic is probably a pretty important word. Deterministic means that there are no coincidences when we use scripts, right? We have the code, and every time you execute the code, the same thing happens. This is super important because if we have an agent and give it a task, then it can find its way to do the task. But it can also go off the charts pretty fast, and we do definitely not want that. If we come back to our drawing tool quickly, this is what could happen if we have an agent, or this is what happens in a good agent, let's say. So we have our prompt right here. We tell the agent what we want. The agent, let me draw an eye, has a look at the directive and then executes the script. And every time it executes the script, the same thing happens. So the same things happen every time because the script stays the same, right? If we don't have this approach with a directive and a script, if we just have the prompt, and then we have our agent, let's make a big A. And then we have our agent. We can tell it to scrape a website, right? And one time it might use the Firecrawl MCP. It scrapes the website, the results might come back and look something like this because it took multiple different routes to get there. A second time, the agent might get stuck at the very beginning and try something completely different, and our results might look like this. So this is the way that the agent went. A third time, it did everything super smoothly, and the results that we will get are not the same every time. The data format that we will get back is not the same every time because the agent needs to interpret somehow what is the best way to take. So this is why having deterministic scripts is so super important. We do not want, hey, right here, we do not want our agent to go off the charts. We also tell the agent why this architecture works. We tell it that LLMs are probabilistic and that business systems must be deterministic, right? We need the same outcome every single time. If everything is done by AI, errors can compound very quickly. And this architecture fixes that by keeping thinking in the AI layer, keeping real work in code, and making systems reliable and scalable. We also tell it to self-anneal, meaning to self-heal. So if it fails, If it does something and it fails, the AI will then read the error, it will fix the script, it will test again, and it will update the directive, and the system now just became stronger. So imagine our scraper tried to scrape, it didn't succeed, it broke somewhere. The AI agent goes back, tries it again. It will then fix the error and succeed. Now it also writes down in the directive what happens, so what it should not do in future, so it learns from that, and our workflow just got much more stable. Beautiful. We then also tell it how to organize our files on the left hand side, because this can get a little bit messy in Antigravity, so we do not want that. We want to keep them neatly organized, and therefore we tell it that this is how we want to store our files. We have a folder for our directives, for the instructions. We have a folder for execution files, for our Python tools. Then we have a file called .tmp, no, a folder called .tmp, where we store our temporary files, meaning things that we do not really need. And then we have a .env file, and in here we store our API keys. This is important so that everything stays safe. We'll have a closer look at it later on in the course. Important rule, local files, temporary, real results, cloud, Google Sheets, docs, etc. Are not temporary. This is the mental model. So we tell the AI it sits between human intent, deterministic execution. And the job is to read instructions, make decisions, call tools, handle errors, and improve the system over time. This is the foundation for everything that we will be building next. Now we actually need to add our general instructions to Antigravity. So I'm just going to grab those right here, copy them normally, go back to Antigravity just like this, and I will create a new file called Gemini.md. You see this blue little icon showing up, and I will paste that in, and now Antigravity has these general instructions for me. And by giving those instructions in this Gemini.md format, Antigravity knows that these are the general agent instructions. Now to save it, you could either go to File and press Save, or you can just press Command S and save it as well. Once we have that in here, we want to tell the agent to initiate this. It will read through this Gemini.md file that we just created. It will read through our instructions and create our beautiful folder structure on the left side, and we are actually ready, and our agent is ready to do some work afterwards. Let's have a look at one last thing before actually doing our first workflows. Let's quickly look at skills. So, if we come to our short description right here, Gemini agent skills are specialized, modular, and reusable knowledge sets for the Gemini CLI or web agent that allows it to perform specific tasks such as coding, data analysis, or file management with higher precision. The important part here is reusable knowledge sets. In the end, skills are similar to directives and scripts that we just explained before. Some agent already solved a problem, and now we can import this solved problem into our workspace in a way that the agent actually has access to it, can read it and use it, so it doesn't have to make the mistakes. It already has the skills to solve this specific issue. In module 22, you can find a prompt to import a skill. So skills mostly live in GitHub, where you have the code repository for the skill, and all you can do is you can come here, you can copy this URL to a clipboard, give it to Antigravity, and then tell it to import or clone this skill. In here, I already have it inside of my prompt, and I also tell it to properly clone it into .agent/skills. This is the way how Gemini can actually read it properly. So what we are going to do is come back to Antigravity. This is our workspace, how it looks right now, with the folder structure that Gemini created after initializing resizing. We close all of those things just for visibility reasons. Now you also see that dragging along and so on sometimes makes a difference in readability. All we do is we paste this in here and we tell it to import this UX and UI ProMax skill. So this skill that we are currently importing helps our agent to do more beautiful UI and UX designs. We will use it for the website and the dashboard we will be creating later on. So this is definitely a highly valuable skill. It contains hundreds of different color palettes of different fonts that the agent can use. It has some glass morphism, scrolling effects, and so on. Just like things that the agent otherwise would need ages to actually figure out and to get the information, and would never be as reliable as it will be now when it just is able to do all those things by itself. It is now importing it. You see it has created this task. It will now install the Antigravity Awesome Skills library, clone the repository to .agent/skills, and will verify the skill MD in folders. MD again stands for Markdown, so the skill MD is similar like these instructions, is similar like the directives that we will be creating, just instructions in plain language on how to use the skill, when to use the skill, and so on. Let's now create our first workflow. It will be a self-generated system health check. And we will be using multiple agents. So you already know how to work with more than one agent at a time. This is going to be amazing. So what we are going to do is we have two different prompts for two different agents. Let's give the first prompt to our agent number one. Its job is to operate in the orchestration layer, and the task is to create a minimal workflow called system health check with the goal to validate the three-layer architecture is working, that directives are used, that execution tools are created and used, and that outputs are produced deterministically. So we are going to take this one. We come back to Antigravity and we give this to our first agent. To spin up a second agent, we need to go to the agent manager. And if it doesn't look the same for you, then this is good. Here, really messy. I have lots of different workspaces I have already been working in. And in here, alphabetically ordered, you see my first workflow workspace that we are currently working in. And you see this agent, and what I just told him is now working. Beautiful. What we can do now is spin up a second agent by pressing this plus sign right here. Now we can prompt a second agent, and what we will tell him or tell it is that it is operating in the execution layer. The task is to create required Python scripts inside execution, implement tools exactly as defined in the directive, and so on. So we'll come here. We'll go back to Antigravity, we'll paste it in, and we will send it off. And right now we have two different agents inside of our first workflow workspace. This agent is ready for the execution layer implementation and wrote this directive right here. And now we have our second agent right here, which will be working as well. We can go back to the view that we know already, to the editor view. And this is what it looks like in here. We see what the agent is doing. Sometimes, just for understanding purposes, I actually like to read what the agent is thinking. Let's say it helps you debug things if things break, not debugging in a way of you are writing the code, but debugging in a way of you understanding what the current problems are. Both of our agents are pretty much done, and if you open up those folders, you see that we created a system health check.md. In here we have the goal, the execution tool that it will need to use, the expected output that we want if everything is working, and so on. And in here we have the system health check.py. So in here we actually have the script that we will be using to do this health check, and we can now actually do such a health check. So I can go to my agent and tell it, do a health check. Beautiful. Also the grammar on point. However, it will now use this tool that it created. It will also have a look at the directives to understand what exactly do we want, and it will create such a health check for us. Also under .agent, in here you have all the different skills that we imported, or you have the skill that we imported just before. Under assets, for example, you see multiple different scripts for a design system, for example, and so on. And in here on the right hand side, we now just see that the system is reporting as healthy according to our script. Perfect. This is our first actual workflow. All the things we did right now showed you that you can turn your Antigravity workspace into a production system, right? You can have hundreds of workflows in one different workspace and the agent in between coordinating all of those things. The next thing that we will have a look at is creating a landing page. So creating something that is actually able to make you money for the first time in this course. I'm super excited and I'll see you there. Bye-bye. Our first build will be a landing page. We will make a first draft and then improve the draft with AI. We will store it on GitHub, deploy it on ourselves so it actually lives live on the internet. How will this work? We will get a design inspiration. We will then make some screenshots of the design, feed it to Antigravity, let it build something, let it improve what it built, and then we will push it online. So buckle up, this is going to be super fun. Before we can start with the fun, however, let's get some things out of the way. Let's download Docker. Docker makes sure that our projects can go from our desktop to the World Wide Web in the proper format. It is a necessity. You just go to www.docker.com. This is the website. You press on how to install Docker and you go back from here because there's a much easier way. So you just come here, download Docker Desktop right here, and you can download it for your Mac. And this is the first thing that you will do. The next thing you will download is Node.js. Node.js is required to run and build modern web projects. What does it do? It runs JavaScript on your computer, it uses build tools, it runs development servers, and we use it to deploy apps. What you do, once again, you just go to this link right here, Node.js download, you download it for your Mac, and you're good to go, or for any other computer, obviously. Next up, we need a GitHub account. About 2 years ago, I saw GitHub for the first time. I was massively overwhelmed. I thought, thanks God, I don't need to actually work with that. And hey, here we are using it on a daily basis. This is something that I saw throughout my whole life. Whenever I think or I want something not to appear in my life again, it will come. Carl Jung said, what you resist persists. So this is probably one of those cases where I wanted to resist GitHub, but it didn't work. So you go to github.com just like that. You then press on your small little icon once you did an account. Probably you already have one. If you haven't, just make an account. You press on your settings icon or your profile icon. You go and create an account and you are there. So this is the small little GitHub module. Perfect. Now we will connect our first MCP server to Antigravity. Let me quickly explain to you what MCP means. MCP stands for Model Context Protocol. And currently what we have inside of Antigravity is a brain in a box. We have Gemini or Claude, which are massively intelligent, but they do not have access to any tools. They cannot push code to GitHub, where our code will be living, and so on, right? So what we need is some kind of bridge. And this bridge right here, this is the MCP tool, which allows us to connect our LLM to the tool which we want to use, in which we want to do things in, with which we want to have a back and forth synchronization, for example. So this is a very important skill, and believe me, this skill alone is worth a lot of money. Just knowing how to connect MCPs to anti-gravity or to other tools essentially is a skill which in the future will be super important when we humans have to be able to connect multiple tools to one another. How do we now connect the MCP? So what we do is we go back to GitHub just like that. We then go to our settings, which you will find here. In the settings you will scroll all the way down to developer settings like that. You go to personal access tokens, you go to fine-grained tokens, and now you go to generate new token. Let's press this. You can give this token a name. Let's call it tutorial. Perfect. Description, we don't really need that. And here you can set your expiration date if you want. You can make it 90 days probably, so you don't need to redo it all the time. This is just for like security purposes. Those tokens die or expire, if you want to say it kindly, after some days. Here you want to press on all repositories, so the token has access to all the different repositories. And right now what you want to do is you add all those things right here. We see us again once you and I added all of those things. What we just did is we added permissions to our token. So if we connect the tools, we allow our LLM to actually do all of those different things. And right now in the access, we also want to give it even more permissions, and we go to read and write, read and write, read and write. Especially if you don't have any like sensitive information inside of GitHub, you can do this with a very good feeling. So don't be scared to do that. Just go read and write everywhere. We see us again once you did that, because I have mine already connected. I will show you what you do now. You go to generate token. You now generate the token just like this. You come here, you copy this token, and once you have your token, you go back to Antigravity into our workspace. You press on the three little dots on the top right, you go to MCP servers just like that, and right here you can type GitHub. So let's say we don't have it there yet. Here you have all the different MCP servers that you could connect natively, and GitHub is one of them. So you would find it under G, I suppose, GitHub right here. You see I have my one already enabled. For you in here, if you haven't enabled it already, there would be an install button, a blue one. You just press on install just like this. You press on install, but for your GitHub, and then you paste in the code that we just got from the fine-grained token, and you save it, and your GitHub will actually be connected. Let's finally do something fun and get inspired. Before we build anything, we want to get some inspiration. Success leaves clues. Tony Robbins says that quite often. What we want to do is we want to find award-winning, beautiful, stunning websites, templates that get sold for real money, so we can rebuild our landing page according to that. We don't have to reinvent the wheel, right? We are going to get something which is already pretty good. So what we are going to do is we go to Webflow. I like Webflow a lot. And we can search for templates right here. You can just go to your marketplace, to templates, and right here you see hundreds of templates. You can just go to professional services, for example, right here, and then you'll see different templates that we can use as inspiration for the thing that we are building right now. What I am going to do, or what I already chose for me, is this Groovia Webflow template. Maybe I'll find it on the first glance right here. So we go to Groovia. You can also just type this thing into your browser and you get the same thing. And what we are doing right now is we are making screenshots of every single one of those sections. So we take the hero section, we make a screenshot. We take this section right here and we make a screenshot. We go to the next section and do the same again. We will use these screenshots later on to give to Antigravity, and Antigravity can then rebuild something which looks as beautiful as this. So we take this one as well, and we take these ones, we take these ones as well, and then this should, okay, let's add this thingy again, and then we should probably be good. It's a really nice website. I really like those colors, like those fading colors. And I like that it is a white background. I know everyone is building the dark SaaS products, but I like when it's like airy and a little bit colorful and so on, even though I have the black background, but that's another thing. However, we have all the screenshots now. What we do next is we import skills. You might remember in our project architecture module, we already imported skills. Right now, we do the same thing again. We quickly skip those 2 steps. We come right here and we install, if you haven't done it yet. If you have, then well done. And we import this UI UX skill library. This will allow our agent to make much better UI UX decisions and designs, and therefore we just copy this, we come back to Antigravity, and we actually just go back to our agent right here, paste this in, so that afterwards you will have your skill imported on the left hand side right here. If you haven't done it yet, then go on and do this. I suppose you did that. What you're doing now is importing the screenshots into Antigravity. Right here you also see that there are other options to import landing pages into Antigravity, and we will use one of these options in build 6 when we build our personal portfolio website. For the time being, however, all that we are going to do is we are opening Antigravity once again. We press on the plus icon, we press on media, so you see how you can import media not into the folder but actually just into the chat window. You go to recents right here and you are going to grab those screenshots until, what was it? Oh, these are the new ones. Perfect. You're going to grab those screenshots right here, open these and import them into our project, and now tell Antigravity to please rebuild this landing page. I sent my message off, told it that we want to rebuild this landing page, and right now we are waiting for the result. Antigravity is building our website currently, and what you also see is this task list right here where we could add comments. So let's say we did not want glass morphism in the nav bar. What we could then have said is please no glass morphism, and it would have understood, okay, we want to have this differently. So there are multiple ways to actually do comments like this. Before you start, you could also create an implementation plan, which we will for other projects, and then make edits right on the implementation plan before we actually get going and do stuff. Or you can just do it inside of the task list, or you could even have your website show up here once it's done, do some screenshots, or just draw some boxes and adjust certain things right from your Antigravity dashboard. Guys, here is our website. Ooh, we have a fancy cursor with some lag right here, which is fiddling around, jumping around a little bit too much, so we have something to change afterwards, but generally speaking, like just design wise, yeah, like the cursor is all over the place. Design wise, I like it. I like how it does this transparent thing, if it works properly, like the cursor itself. I like how those things look. So in general, I think it's a cool website, just a little bit, like this is a little bit messy. I don't know if this was wanted in this way. Like when we scroll fast, it will jump back, but other than that, it stays somewhere. So I don't know, I'm not sure. It's fun, but let's improve it one more time. This is actually perfect. So let's go back to Antigravity and tell it to use its UI UX skills to first tell us what we could improve. So here we have our UI UX enhancements, which we can comment on if we want to. So we see the problem, it feels laggy due to high smoothing values and lack of direct anchor point. So this seems fine. More life in the hero section, that's what we should get. Magnetic button, semantic polish, add proper meta tags and titles. So this looks fine to me. Let's proceed with the plan. Let's tell it to proceed, and now it can go off and actually do those things. They should also be shown in the tasks, where you can always have a look at what things will be changed currently. So let's give it a second. It will implement all of those things. It will probably improve our website a little, or at least we hope so. And then we will see. It's now already working. You see the cursor animation is gone. Let's see if it will come back differently. So yeah, this is what it looks like for a first draft. Just for a simple landing page, you could easily run Google Ads to something like this. So the cursor is coming back, we have it right here, still a little bit laggy, right? Okay, yeah, let's give it time. Our second refinement is here, it's already better. The cursor still, I don't like it 100%, but what I like are those magnetic buttons. So these are pretty cool. I like these. This one as well, you go to the right, it comes to the right, you go to the left, it goes to the left. Probably the best one to see it is this schedule a demo button. So this is amazing. Also the way that it loads, very beautiful. So I like the look in general. I told it to fix this with the cursor, to delete the animation completely and rebuild it with the UI UX skills a little bit better. I don't like that you cannot see what's underneath it, but other than that, I think it's already a very good landing page. Since, however, we want to add it in our portfolio, let's improve it one last time, and yours might look completely different, right? Because we are not using the same prompts. We're just like one-shotting something just to build something. Let's improve it one more time and let's see what we get. My friends, we have what I wanted. So first of all, we have this cursor, which I like. It's subtle, but still it makes it immediately more playful. And you might have already have a sneak peek of the second feature. It's those cards which tilt. I like them. I like them a lot. Maybe you don't like them. I love them actually. So this one doesn't do it, which is actually fine. I think not every card needs to do that, but this one does again, and I just love this feature. Look at that. It looks so dynamic. Big fan. So perfect, guys, here we have it, our first landing page built. Now we need to push it to GitHub, so our code is actually online. This is easier than you might think. All we need to do is copy this one, and we will prompt Antigravity to push this landing page to GitHub. So obviously you exchange the name of the landing page right here. So let's just do it immediately together. Let's just come in here, give it this prompt, and create a new, so use a GitHub MCP, this is fine. Then initialize the current project as a Git repository, add all files. Let's just say add the landing page. Call it Antigravity landing page tutorial. A beautiful commit with message initial landing page. Perfect. This should be fine. Now we give this to Antigravity, and it will push this landing page to GitHub, where we will see it like this. So we go to GitHub, and on the left hand side you have your repositories, right? You can just go to show more like this, and eventually it will show up right here. You also see that it is using the MCP tool, create repository. You can also look at the details. So this is just what it needed to do to actually create that. But this is the tool that it was using. This is why we already connected the MCP beforehand. So we do not have to do this now. I always try to connect all of the tools I need inside of my project before I start the project, so I don't have to go back and do it again and again and again. Sometimes things come up where you need to add a new tool, and then you just do that. But if you can plan it out in a way where you know exactly what is going to happen inside of the project, then this would actually be perfect. So let's go back. It looks like it has already done it. Let's go back to Arc and let's see if we have our landing page right here. So if we go to show more, now I have so many right here. It's not the architecture one. Do we have it? Do we have it? Folio onboarding. Seems like we don't have it here yet. So let's wait. Here it is, Antigravity landing page tutorial. So here we have the whole code, everything that our website consists of inside of this folder. Perfect. Last but not least, let's deploy it to Vercel. What is Vercel? Vercel is a hosting platform. It connects to GitHub. It builds your project and puts it online, and it updates automatically on every change. So what you need to do right now is you go to vercel.com, and in Vercel you know these Google logins, right? In Vercel you can just log in with GitHub. That's why we created our GitHub account first. So you log in with GitHub, and once you did that, you can just go to add new, and Vercel and GitHub, they are friends, they are buddies. And if you go to add new, you'll immediately see that you have your Antigravity landing page up here. You can just press on import, you can just press on deploy, and you can wait a few seconds and it will immediately show up. If there were any problem with the deployment, you would find them here. You can then copy the problem, feed it back to Antigravity and tell it to please fix it. But at the moment, right here, everything looks clean, everything looks fine. And here our website should be. And here it is. We can continue to the dashboard. A dashboard meaning this and not this being a dashboard. And now you could either add a domain. So in here you could add a domain, an existing one, or buy a new one. So both valid options. Or you can just visit this right here. Beautiful. This looks fun, right? This looks good. Look at our cards moving beautifully. Things just absolutely stunning. I love it. And what you could do now is send someone this link and it would actually work. So I will quickly add it in, let's add it right here in our resources, so you can actually have a look at the website if you want to. If you're in the school community, please make sure to share your website. It would be fun. So we call it website 1, have it in here, and perfect. So this is a link that's actually working, right? You press on it, it's on the web, you actually just created a website in a few minutes. Congratulations. Welcome to Build 2. Right now we are building a AI news system. I know everyone loves websites and loves those SaaS products and beautiful dashboards and so on. I like them as well, and they make me money as well. What we are learning right now is something completely different. But if you understand it, if you understand the basics of it, and you'll know how to create such tools, this is definitely valuable information that will, in my opinion, and made me more money than all the UI and UX stuff did. What did we do until now? We designed and shipped the website, we used skills and MCPs, and we deployed a real project. So perfect. What we are doing currently is building an AI system that scrapes multiple websites, extracts the most important content, and summarizes everything with an LLM. You get the results automatically through email. It runs in the cloud and is triggered every day at a certain time point. So you see, this is something completely different. This is a automation like you would build in make.com or in NADN, just that we do it now using our voice, talking to an AI agent, which makes it so much cooler. Let's do it similar than before again. Let's set up our tools before we are actually going to use them. The first thing that we are using is Firecrawl MCP. You know already what an MCP is. We can quickly go back if you like. The MCP stands for Model Context Protocol, and it acts as the bridge between the tool that we are using and the software which we want to use in the end. So in this case it will not be GitHub, but in this case this will be Firecrawl. Let's do an FC in orange. Perfect. It will be Firecrawl. Firecrawl is a tool that lets us visit websites, extract content, and returns clean text and data, so not the ugly HTML that we get sometimes when we scrape websites. Otherwise, this is how the AI can read the web. So Firecrawl is absolutely amazing. I use it many times, and now I'll show you how to connect this MCP, because there are two ways to connect MCPs, and this is the second way, and it's amazing for you to have a look at how this works as well. So you go on to the link, you go to Firecrawl, you create an account, and the super nice thing about Firecrawl is they know that everyone uses their MCPs. There's not really much you can do on this dashboard anyway, but the tool itself is amazing. So what you see on your dashboard is right here, your MCP config. Here you would have your API key, here you have your MCP config. And what you can do is copy this MCP config, you go back to Antigravity, where you open a new folder. We will work in a new folder this time. So you come to Antigravity, you go to File, you open folder, and you call it, let's call it Scraper, for example. You create this just like that, you open it, and right now you have your Scraper folder. What we do right now is go to MCP servers on the top right. You go to Manage MCP servers, because if we type Firecrawl, look at this, nothing is showing up. No good, no bueno. So we go back, we go to Manage MCP servers just like that, and right now we can actually go to View Raw Config. In my config, you see the diamond line 46. There are already a bunch of things in there, so a bunch of API tokens and so on, which I cannot show and I'm too lazy to blur. So what you can do right now is you just paste in, if you're at line 1, you paste in what you just copied at Firecrawl. So you come in here and you just paste this thing right in here. Once you pasted this in, this is what it actually should look like for you. You should have your API key right here. I just deleted it and wrote API because I'm too lazy to blur it out afterwards. But this is actually how it works like. And right now you can just go to File and Save, or press Command S, and you will have it in there. I will not do that right now because I already have it. So I go to Don't Save, I go to Firecrawl MCP, just like that. And now you see that our LLM has access to all of those different tools that Firecrawl provides us with. Let's do the next thing right now. Let's add an API key. You probably know API keys, again, from make.com or Anyden or other automation places. We will add a OpenAI API key in there to summarize the contents that we are getting from Firecrawl. So what we are going to do is we go to the website platform.openai.com/playground, just like that. And right now you have your API keys on the left hand side. So yeah, you have the link in the community, so you just use that one. You can go to create new secret key. We call it tut for tutorial, and we get our API key right here. Pretty easy, right? We can copy that. You can also see the first few letters right here, so this is not a problem at all. We go back to Antigravity, we go back to our agent, and currently you see that we have nothing in here because we created a new workspace. Afterwards, before we'll start working, we will obviously add our Gemini.md. What we will add right now is something called a .env file. So if I go out of here again into my scraper right here, what we will add is a .env file. env stands for environment variables, and here we store all the keys, all the passwords and so on that we need for our automation to actually work. What I do now is I go to Gemini and tell it, please create a placeholder for me where I can add my OpenAI API key. This is super important. When we will export a project, before, for example, we exported a website, if we had some API keys in there or some passwords and so on, and would have stored it in our .env file, then we would not actually export our .env file. So we export all the other things, but the .env that stays with us, and this just makes it more safe. What you see now is that we have this placeholder right here for our OpenAI API key, tongue breaker, Jesus Christ, and you can just delete this one, delete this one, and paste your key in here. In my workspace, automatically a .gitignore appeared, and probably this also happened for you. And in here you see that .env is inside of this .gitignore. This means that whenever we export something to GitHub, for example, as the name would say, we ignore this env file. We don't actually send it there. I now ask Gemini to verify our OpenAI API connection, and it is verified. Our API key is working properly. Before we build the scraper pipeline, we want to set up our workspace properly again, right? Now we just added the API key, so this is fine. We didn't do anything with some kind of documents and so on. So I'm just coming here, I grab my Gemini.md, I copy this thingy, I go back to Antigravity, I create a new file, I call it Gemini.md, just like that. I paste my instructions in, I press Command S, or I go to File and Save, and now I tell it to initiate this, and it will read through that and create the folder structure that we want once again. Now we are building the scraper pipeline. So this is how it looks like. Firewall goes out to the web, sends the articles to OpenAI, which will summarize it, and we will get an output. We are building a script that scrapes multiple websites, collects the articles, sends them to OpenAI, generates a clean summary. In here you have the example prompt for Antigravity, because I already have free sources right here which are accessible. You just you copy this prompt right here. If you have any other sources, then you are free to use these as well. You go back to Antigravity, which was working on our folder structure, right? And we paste this prompt in here and let it go. I quickly tell it as well, use the Firecrawl MCP, just so that it's sure to be actually, it already says that in the prompt. I thought in advance. Happened to me one time, I think, that I wanted to create a scraper. I had Firecrawl connected, but it wasn't actually looking out for the MCP. So if you have tools connected, sometimes you need to tell your AI to actually go and use that tool. Once you have a script, once you have some code which is working, where there is written that we need to use that MCP, then it is no problem at all. But as long as we don't have it, as long as we do it the first time and the AI needs to find its way to create a solution, we actually want to help it as much as possible and steer it into the right direction. I don't want the AI to go off, try to scrape something itself, figure out it doesn't work, come back to me, ask or tell me it didn't work, or come back and try again and try again and try again, because it will just bloat up the context window, and we don't really want that. And right now, yeah, the Gemini is working, and we will see what we get. In the end, I want the final output as a temporary file called AI News Summary, which will show up in here. Gemini told me that I should add my Firecrawl API key to the .env file, and I'm a good boy, right? So let's actually do that. Let's copy the API key. Let's go back to Antigravity, and it already created a placeholder for me. I'll just paste it in. Gemini confirmed that the Firecrawl MCP is there, and it's now running the script. So as you see, on the left-hand side, inside of your execution folder and directive folder, you should now see two things. You should see a scrape AI news.py, which is the script that it is using, the tool that it is using to actually scrape things. And you have a daily AI news.md, which is the directive. In here we have the goal, which is scrape the latest article from top AI research labs and generate a daily summary. We have the different inputs or the different websites that we are using. We then have the tools / scripts that we are using to actually do the scrape, which is the execution / scrape AI news.py, and then we also listed out which APIs we are using at the moment. And here we have something for edge cases if something doesn't run very smoothly. So here you see the full power of the directives and executions. And in the future, when we have multiple scraping scripts, for example, we can just talk to the AI, tell it, please scrape the daily AI news, and it knows exactly what to do. Gemini created our temporary file right here in our AI news summary, and we actually have a AI news summary in Markdown format with the links to the articles. So this is perfect. Our next step isn't necessary for this type of automation, but it is super useful. We could have also now created just a document with those things, right? But what we want is a daily briefing every morning. And we want it by email. I think it's a cool concept. And what we're doing right now is I'll teach you how to connect the Google Workspace to Antigravity. I think this is a super important skill. There are so many tools Google provides, which like Sheets, Slides, Docs, Google Meet, Calendar, and so on, which many companies use on a daily basis. And therefore, we are learning right now how to connect those things. To do that, you press on the link right here, or you just go to console.cloud.google.com, and you will see that right now you are in the console of Google. Nothing to worry about if you haven't been here before. Can I switch this to light mode? I like this much more if I have it in light mode. Beautiful. I like this much more like this. So in here, on top, you see the name of the project that you are working in. We want to create a new project. I want to show you how this works, right? So we are creating a new project. The name of this project is the tutorial scraper, just like that. In our organization, this is fine. We go to create, and right now we created our project, which is perfect. Let's go back to our community to quickly have a look at how we proceed. Now we go to create OAuth clients. So let me go back here. Let me come to APIs and services. The next thing that you press, you go to APIs and services. And in here, you see that we have our OAuth consent screen. Before we do that, however, before we use our OAuth consent screen, what we want to do is enable some APIs. Oh, I made a mistake. We are not in the tutorial scraper. Sorry. You see, if you create a project, you think that you are in this project, but you're actually not. You are still in the old one that opened up. So make sure you are in the right project. This happened to me a bunch of times. I haven't connected Google in the last few days. So yeah. Every time the same. Well, dark mode it is apparently. So we are in our tutorial scraper project, just like that. We go to enable APIs and services. And right now we will just enable the APIs that we want inside of this project. You could obviously enable many of these, but what we really want is the Gmail API enable. So I am able to send emails to myself. This is fine. You will quickly wait. This will load. And now you have your Gmail API enabled. So this is good. The next thing you do is you enable another API if you need it. So let's view all. And what we could enable probably is the Google Docs API. I feel like this could make sense. So turn the thing into a doc. This is good. And then we will enable the Google Drive API so we can actually store our doc inside of the Google Drive. So we do the same thing again. We press on the arrow, we go back, we enable APIs and services. We go to the Google Workspace, we open all, and now we quickly search for Google Docs. Here it is, Google Docs API. This looks perfect. Do we already have this? Manage API enabled. Did I already add the Google Docs? Ah, the Drive API. Woo! Okay, the head. So let's add the Google Drive API. This looks fine. Let me quickly make sure I get the right one. Google Drive API. Here it is. They have about 3 of them. Use this one, like the normal one. The other ones, for our cases, not really relevant. So now that we have all of those 3 APIs enabled, we will press on OAuth consent screen. Just like that. And now you see that we don't have anything configured yet. So let's get started. Let's call our app, because we are now creating an app. Let's call it Tutorial Scraper. User email, support email, you will take your own email. You will then press on next. And right now the audience, and I quickly have to think about that, should be external. So let me quickly have a look. Okay, in here I don't see it, so we just try it out. I have a full video about it on YouTube, by the way, if you want to check it out. It's really good. You can go to external. Yeah, we need external. Internal is only for people inside of your organization, and Antigravity is not inside of our organization, let's say. So you go right here, you go leandrofanali@gmail.com. So you go your email address, I go mine, obviously. We go to finish, we then go to create, and this is the first step of this OAuth thingy. Now you see that we haven't configured any OAuth client yet, so let's do that next. Let's create a OAuth client just like this. Application type is a desktop app, right? Antigravity runs locally. We call it again scraper, just like this, should be fine. We go to create, and now you see something strange. You see this OAuth client created. But what I need to do every single time, again and again, is go to audience afterwards. You then add a user, you add a test user, so yourself. You can just follow exactly what I was doing. You can do this then, so you add yourself right here, you save it. This must be the email address that later on actually gives consent, so you will need to log in with Google to actually be able to do that. So I now have my test user. I go back to clients. We created this client, right? I now delete it. Delete this client, perfect, and now create another client, and now you see what will happen. We do again a desktop app, we call it desktop client 1 is fine for now, and now you see all of those things that we just got. It looks different than before, right? But you need to create a test user first. This is how you do it. You now go to download JSON, just like that, and now you have your JSON downloaded. You go back to Google Antigravity, and you will import this JSON file. So you can come here, I will upload it like this. Actually, let me show you that quickly. This is cool. You can just take a file and you can also drag it in here. And now you have your client secret right here. So this is fine. We can go back to Antigravity, make this big again, and tell the AI that we imported our client secret from Google. So we imported this thingy right here and now want to actually connect our API tokens with it. I just talked to my agent, told it that I added this file right here and that I want to connect those different services. And now you see we are initiating the Google integration, and in a minute or 30 seconds there will be a consent screen showing up where I can log in with Google, with my account, to this desktop app. And here it is, choose an account for the tutorial scraper, right? We created an app. We come in here, we go to continue, not back to safety, even though it looks good. You now see that here we have the 3 different APIs that we just connected. We go to select all, we go to continue, and now we have the authentication flow has completed. You may close this window. We may actually close this window, go back to Antigravity and tell it that we authorized it, just like this, authorized it, and now or afterwards we should be connected, and we can actually tick this thing off our box. So let's come back to our course right here. Let's tick this off. This is beautiful. We did that. Now let's test this. Let's test if we actually can receive emails. I want the system to send me an email using the Google Workspace API with the daily AI news summary. It should include today's news summary and also include a Google Doc link. So let me, yes, we already had this, right? Do I have to do it again? Is it fine? Okay, let's go and do it again. Ask me to authorize it another time. I like to keep it as real as possible. So we go one more time right here. We go continue, select all, just like that. And let's see if this is working. Should be, actually should be. We go back to Antigravity. I told it I reauthorized. Now we will take our prompt from before and it should send it to me. So to my Gmail address, just like this. Subject is fine. Also include the Google Doc link. This is perfect. Send an email using Google Workspace. Please also create a Google Doc where you store the summary. Should be fine. Storing probably not the best word for it, but should be fine. We now quickly wait until perfect. This has worked, so we can actually send this off and see if it does it immediately. We already have our new summary right here, right? We have access to Google Docs, we have access to Gmail, we have access to Google Drive. So what I would now want to do is actually send me the thing. Gemini told me I should check my inbox. Okay, if you say so, then let me check my inbox. Let's see if something arrived right here. And we actually have leandroferrari@gmail.com. Here is today's AI news summary. And we have our perfect AI news summary. Obviously, like the formatting and everything could be a little bit different. This means that it should be bold, right, in markdown format, let's say. We also have, obviously, almost forgot, we have our document that it created with the thing, and we could use that for our school or for my school posts, for example. I could do a daily AI news post. I could use this for my daily LinkedIn post, or for video inspirations on YouTube. I could have a scraper scraping the newest YouTube videos and giving me the transcripts or summaries of the best performing YouTube videos and sending this to my inbox every day or every 12 hours or every 4 hours or whatever I would want. Here you see the power that systems like these have if you know the structures on how to actually use these. So the email output worked beautifully. What I want now is this system to run every morning at 9 a.m. You know probably that with Anyden or Make.com and so on, with those tools, you could do that pretty easily with a time trigger. In here, you can actually do this as well. How can we do this? With a website called Modal. So all you are going to do is you're going to Modal and you are generating an API key which you will add to your .env, which we have already. So let's go to Modal. Let's go to the dashboard right here. So make an account, obviously, if you haven't done that yet. You then can go to your settings. Like this. Modal is, by the way, free. Who would have thought it? You can just create a new token. We call it tutorial. Perfect. We create this, brother. Here we have our token, just like this. And now, because I really don't care about if anyone sees that. I go in here, I paste this in, and I tell Antigravity, hey, this is my token for Modal. Can you please add this to the .env file and immediately set up the scraper in a way where it runs every morning at 5 a.m. and sends me the newest reports. Perfect. So I want it pretty early so that when I have my morning coffee, I can actually read the AI news, right? This is amazing. So we have Modal right here, and now we will quickly wait until Gemini did its work, but we can already say that we did that. You also heard in the prompt that I gave Gemini before that we want this to be a daily automation. Right, I told it 5 a.m. Here I have 6 a.m. Everything is fine. It is now doing that automatically, so it does two things in one. All we need to do is to control if it actually does it well, but it looks fine for now. It says it's deploying it to Modal at the moment, so this looks good to me. Too many files open on the left hand side, they confuse me. This is better. So it is now deploying this whole thing to Modal, and we can actually just wait and see if our app, our workflow will show up right here. So we will quickly wait. Live apps, stop apps, okay. Here we have 26 days ago. So we see that our newest thing didn't arrive yet. This is not my agency account where I have more workflows on. This is really just a testing account right here. So we quickly wait. We don't have it yet. And this is what work with Antigravity looks like. Before you needed to go to Make.com or Anyden and actually do the things and take the module and set the timing and so on. And right now I can use this time to talk with your beautiful soul, or I could use this time to do something else productive, let's say in my business. But since we want to go step by step, we will quickly wait until the thing's done. My Gemini agent was running into some struggles, or at least it took me too long. I didn't like to see that. What I did was I changed to Claude Sonnet 4.6, and now we quickly wait until we get a probably positive reply. I'm sure that Claude Sonnet will figure it out pretty fast. Claude Sonnet 4.6 did it so fast. And here it is. I can't wait for the Claude Sonnet tutorial. I hope you guys can't either. I'm sure it will be a great one. So this is next up. Well, here we have our run daily job, and you see the next run is in 13 hours and 19 minutes. I can also run it now one time, just so I will probably receive another email really soon. And here is an email, but this is probably the one that Claude created for me just by quickly testing it, because I feel like the scraper would need to run a little bit longer. So let's come again and let's go again. Okay, probably it was this fast. So this is perfect. Here we have our AI news summary, and we deployed it to modal, meaning we successfully completed our second build. Not an easy one, not too hard, but very valuable if you understand the principles. I hope your head is going in multiple directions, thinking about where you can actually use things like this. You now learned how to schedule an automation. You learned how to build a scraper. You learned how to add API keys. You connected an MCP server through the raw config way and not the integrated way. So I'm super proud of you. Thanks so much for being here, and let's see each other at build number 3. Welcome to build 3. In this build, we create a real lead generation system. This is a kind of system that agencies sell to their clients, freelancers use for outreach, or founders use for market research. We will scrape a real business directory, verify emails, and deliver the results in a structured way. This is not a dashboard, this is not a SaaS product, just a pure practical money system. I made most of my money with lead scraping, and I'm sure that if you follow my advice right here and build something like that, there will be lots of companies interested in your services as well. So without further ado, let's have a quick look at the page that we will be scraping, and you might laugh right now, but it is actually the perfect page for that. So let's open this puppy up. Let's give it a second to load. We are scraping a Thai Travel Agents Association. My uncle runs a business in Thailand. He asked me to scrape this website, and I thought it's perfect for a tutorial. You see all of those different people in here. You see their email addresses, but you also see a bunch of other information that in the end we do not want. But there are really hundreds of pages, like there are a lot of agents, so it's super interesting to do this in this case. So it's a perfect example for what we are going to build. And yeah, let's buckle up, let's do something great, let's make ourselves some money, let's learn some skills. If you've been a good boy and followed the course until now, you will already have Firecrawl connected. So you don't actually need to do that again. With the scraper, we care about only one thing. In this case, just the email addresses. Sometimes you also care about the company name and so on, which we can also easily get, but what we really care about is the email address. So what we want to do right now is we want to test if we can actually do that. We keep working in the same workspace, so we don't need to set it up all over again, but we will create a new agent to do that. And we are going to copy this prompt, use the Firecrawl MCP, scrape the website, extract exactly 20 email addresses, return a clean list of 20 unique email addresses, do not extract anything else. And we go back to Antigravity. This is the workspace, right, that we've been working in. Beautiful, where we already have one scraper in here. So what we are going to do now is we open the agent manager, and inside of our scraper, I think it's called, inside of our scraper workspace, we create a new agent. We paste this thing in here, and we also say API key just so it doesn't get confused. We launch this, and now we wait shortly and see if it does the thing correctly. I lived in Thailand, by the way. I absolutely adore it and can't wait to go back. Our agent is now showing us all the different travel agents right here, and is figuring out how to properly navigate this maze of data that we have in front of us. Just to remember, you can always switch back from the editor view to the agent, from the agent manager view, which is this one, to the open editor view, just like that. And we now wait until our agent figured out how to do this properly. Our agent is done. Here's our list of 20 unique email addresses extracted from the website. So if we quickly have a look at the website, let me just remember the first two ones and let's see if this is actually correct. So if we go there, which one was it? Here it is. Let's see if it's actually the first two ones. And yes, this looks perfectly fine. So we actually built a proper scraper. The next thing that we want to do is email verification. Verifying emails is crucially important, especially when you work with tools like Instantly, for example, where your campaign will just stop if you don't do it. So one way you can do it is by a service called Rion. Amazing, very cheap service. I paid a little bit, I think, for the credits I have, but they have daily credits that you get for free, so you do not actually need to pay anything to do that. You can go to their email verification service, or can I just log in? Yeah, probably this is where I need to go. I only have 3,000 remaining. Here you have daily credits, so you can just test it out, right? Build it once and show the client that you actually know how to do it. You see in your lifetime usage statistics how many were valid, catch-all, disabled, invalid, and so on. What you can do right now is go to API and integrations. You can go to create new API key. You can come here and say tutorial, just call it like that. Perfect, create a key. Here you have it. And now you go to your .env file inside of Antigravity and paste that in. I already prepared the placeholder for you. So you go to your .env file, you paste this in, and you exchange your key here with the with the key we just created before. The next thing you do is save the .env file, important, and you can now just tell your AI agent, please verify those email addresses with the Rion API key I just added. In the future, after scraping email addresses, I want you to always verify them using this tool. In this way, our agent will automatically update the script that we have in a way where after we got the email addresses, we will also verify them. While my scraper is verifying on the right hand side, you see right here, it actually gives me a live feedback. You will see those different scripts that we created in the meantime, right? We have the modal scheduler that we created, the scrape AI news script, the verify emails script, which we created right now, the how to verify apps on Google script. We have the different directives that we have created. So this is perfectly fine and looks amazing actually. Now we have this information, we have the verified emails, it's already finished. It's now creating directive for future email verification workflow. So does this show up anywhere? Not yet. Here we have the directive for the AI news summary, and somewhere should the directive be for the new workflow. Let's see once it shows up. Our agent was working, our agent actually verified the email addresses, so this is perfectly fine. On the left hand side, you also see the different scripts that we now created. We created the verify email script, right? We created the modal scheduler script, the distribute news script, and so on and so on. What we now do is actually tick off this little box because the email verification worked, and we will switch to creating a Google Sheet. In planning the course, I made a mistake. I forgot to add the Google Sheets API, right? Before we added in the Google Workspace, we added different APIs. We didn't add the Google Sheet API. So let's go there. We are still in our tutorial scraper project. Let's go to our APIs and services, and let's actually enable the Google Sheet API as well, because otherwise we cannot create a Google Sheet, and Google Sheets are so super useful to create email scraping services. And we enable this like that. Perfect. And now I go to Antigravity and tell it, hey, I just enabled the Google Sheet API as well. What I want you to do is first let me authorize myself in Google once more, and then I want you to create a Google Sheet with all of the verified email addresses and non-verified email addresses, and tell me which ones are valid and which ones aren't. So again, like a two-step process. First of all, quickly connect our Google Sheet API as well. And second of all, we need to authorize, or we need to create the sheet itself. Google already popped up and you see edit, create and delete all your Google Sheets and spreadsheets. Yes, please, my agent, delete all of my spreadsheets. Obviously, hopefully not. I quickly tell it that I did it. Okay, it already realized it automatically. Authentication succeeded. Now let me write and run the Sheets export script. So it will do that for us. It will create the script and it will create the Google Sheet. Probably we will have the link right here. And let's wait quickly until we have that. I was quickly closing some of the files just so it doesn't look so cramped, everything. So let me close these as well. And we already have, or should have, our Google Sheet right here. And look at that, beautiful, even colored, looks amazing. So this is how you want your this is how you actually want your Google Sheet to look like. You have the different scores, save to send, yes, that is deliverable, notes, and so on. So this is amazing. Even the role address listed right here. So it didn't just took the save or not save, it also took the other information that it got from our scrape, which is absolutely phenomenal. Last but not least, we want to send ourselves an email again. What I'll tell the agent now is to scrape 50 leads, verify 50 leads, create a Google Sheet and send me the Google Sheet through email. And the scraping and everything will go much faster because it already knows how to do that. The sending email will be very fast, it already knows how to do that. The creating of the spreadsheet will be very fast because it already knows how to do that. So let me prompt it and let's see how long we take. Our agent is now not doing anything new. All it can do is actually use those scripts it has at hand to actually do the thing. And this is the power of it. You build a solution once, you have it inside of your workspace, and you can just do it again and again. You see right here, the agent reviewed existing scripts and it found the distribute news.py, which has already a Gmail send function, which it can reuse. And other things, obviously other scripts as well, which it will use to do the thing. This is top. We got our email. This is what it looks like. Of course, you also have the Google Sheet, but I like how it sent it like this. Your 50 lead email scrape verification run is complete. Save to send, flagged invalid, total leads. Perfect. So this was build number 3. Thank you so much for being here. The last 2 builds, so build number 2 and 3, they were a little less visually appealing, let's say, even though I like the look of the email and I like the look of the Google Sheet, especially since the green means that we have people to contact and actually make money from. We are going to more visual appealing stuff. We will build a dashboard next. Welcome to build 4. Today we are building a travel dashboard. You might think, why in the world are we building a travel dashboard? It's actually something that I sold for multiple thousands of dollars. Therefore, I know exactly how to build it. I know what the benefits of it are. And it's a real world product solving real world problems. And I think many tutorials in YouTube are just about building things, but they lack the connection to the real world. That's what I don't like about usual studying. Oftentimes you just get the theory, but you don't apply it to the real world. And this is a real world example of something that I built and sold with Google Antigravity. So to quickly show you before we even start how this could look like, this is the app that I actually sold. You have some names on here, but this should be fine. Inside of this app, which lives on top of a Google Sheet, you can have a look at what clients arrive, when they depart. You have a second view where you can have a look at more information about the client. You can add notes in here and they will actually be logged and stored and so on. You have a view like this where you can sort out certain types of things, and you will have an inbox where you're actually able to send messages. So if I write messages to this number, this is the test user, I on my WhatsApp will actually get a message of myself. In here you see the actual message that I got from myself just right now through the dashboard. So we will be connecting WhatsApp APIs and so so on. So multiple tools working together right now. Now we are actually building stuff which you can sell, which will make you money, and this is what it's all about. I'm super excited to get the project started. This is a bigger build, right? Multiple steps to it, multiple things, services that we will need to connect and so on. And therefore we really want to make sure that our AI understands what we are doing. So we want the agent to understand the goal, design the system, decide how data should flow, decide how the dashboard should work. In here we have the prompt, the system planning prompt for this specific dashboard. What we tell our agent is to create a mock-up Google Sheet, which we will later on use to build our dashboard on top of. And it will just give the agent general idea of what exactly we are going to do. Let me now grab our system planning prompt. Let me go back to Google Antigravity and actually give it this prompt and send it. I now opened it in the agent manager. It will now go through it and create an implementation plan for me on which I can comment, and then we'll have a look on how to proceed from there once we have our implementation plan. I drew something up for you just to visualize it in another way on how it could be valuable. So we have a Google Sheet, or my client currently works in a Google Sheet, and there his staff members put in all of the different guests that arrive in Thailand, what time they arrive, and their job is to shuttle those people from the airport to the hotels, to send them an envelope with all the information they need for their stay and so on, and then to shuttle them back from the hotels to the airport. So it's like for a tourism company. And currently everything is done inside of a Google Sheet. Every note is inside of a Google Sheet. Everything is tracked inside of this Google Sheet. And this works, right? But if we can have it inside of an app that we want to build, everything is much nicer to view. It's better for the co-workers or for the staff members to actually type in those client informations, to change things. It's just much more visually appealing. To make sure that this connection works properly, we need to connect the Google API, which we already did before inside of the course, and we also need to make sure that we have some kind of back and forth communication. So if I change the room number inside of my travel app, if I go into the dashboard and I change the room number right here, then I need to reflect this back inside our Google Sheet, let's say inside of our source of truth. So this is definitely something that I want to make sure. And the next thing is, texting all of those customers via WhatsApp is like manual work, and it takes a lot of time, and therefore automating certain type of messages, for example, one day before, hey, we're happy you're coming, this is the time, we will pick you up. 2 days after they're there, we will actually send them a message and tell them, hey, if you want, you can buy those expeditions, those trips that we have. Then in the middle of their journey, you could send them something else, and one day before you pick them up, you would obviously send them the pickup time, and then after they are gone, maybe 2 days afterwards, just to keep in touch with them, you say a thank you message. And doing this manually, especially when we are talking about hundreds of clients, it's a lot of work, and therefore we want to automate as many of those messages as possible and do this inside of WhatsApp, because this is where they communicate mostly with their clients. So you see, this is a very specific solution. This is not something that you take and then you sell to 1,000 different companies right away. This is built specifically for a company and their needs. And this is the power of having Antigravity and being able to do such things. You can build like mini softwares for a specific company and only include those features they need. Because when I use Canva, for example, I use 20% of the features, maybe 15% of the features, and all of the rest I don't need, but I still pay for it and so on, right? And here you actually just create what they need. And this is the amazing thing in that. We got our implementation plan, and what I will do now is actually correct some things, do some comments on certain things so that we steer the ship into the right direction. Here we are just repeating basic principles, right? Getting the start done correctly before we actually jump into the building of the things, just so the AI agent and I am on the same lane, let's say on the same wave. I made my comments. I said that I do not just want a JSON dataset to simulate a Google Sheet. I actually want to leave it on top of a Google Sheet. I made a screenshot of the app that I already built just to give it that, to give it some idea of how I want it. Most of the times you will find a app which already resembles the one that you want to build. And if you just want some general ideas for the layout, let's say, you can go to Google AI Studio, you can go to Lovable, just build a dashboard without any functionalities, but with a nice design and with all the tabs that you want in the future, and then give this screenshot to Google Antigravity. Now with Gemini 3.1 Pro, you'll be definitely able to help your agent with that screenshot. This screenshot is not just for design purposes. This screenshot also shows the agent what the capabilities of the app will be afterwards. So this is great, and right now it's starting to work. We now completed the thinking stage, right? And at the moment our agent is doing the dashboard design. We can be intelligent, however, and already use this time to set up our data storage. What we will use for this is Firebase. Firebase is a free Google service that we can use, and you can actually store data there, actually run your software on there, let's say. Firebase is a free Google service which lets you build your backend. It protects your backend and API resources. It lets you develop and test integrated backends. So this is amazing. And what we need to do right now is we go to console, just like this. You log in with your Google account. Obviously, this is my old, let's say, travel dashboard. And right now I can create a new Firebase project. I call it Antigravity course dashboard, and I will continue like that. I will continue once again. You can enable Gemini in Firebase. This is totally fine. You go to continue once again. When you're inside of Firebase, what you want to do is you go to build right here, then press on Firestore database, and now you create a database. You create a standard edition just like that. Database ID default, this is fine. You go to whatever region you are. I'm in Europe, so I go there, I go next, and I start in test mode, and I actually create my Firestore database just like that. Now I wait for a few seconds until I have it, and then I feed all the credentials to Google Antigravity. Now we have our database in here, and we can actually go and have a look at what we have in here, different rules, indexes, usage, and so on. And obviously we can now go to our settings, our general settings like that, and give Antigravity the project number, give Antigravity our service accounts information, meaning give it this code, give it the database secrets, and so on, and we will actually be able to connect it. But you can always just ask Antigravity what you need to do, and it will lead you through those steps as well. So this is a way on how you can actually connect Firebase to your project, and I hope it works for you on the very first time. It did for me. It was quite simple to set up. And inside of your scraper project that we made, right? We made a scraper project. You see, I worked on other travel dashboards, but inside of your scraper project, what you want to do, because we have this already connected inside of our workspace in Antigravity, you want to go to APIs and services like that. And right now under enable APIs and services here, you want to go to databases. You find it under categories on the left side like this. You press on it, and right now you want to enable the Google Cloud Firestore API. So you press on it, and you see this little thing, and you can just enable it, and this will then allow you to actually store those things in Firebase. You see integrations with Firebase. So go ahead and do this, so we don't have to do it afterwards, and we will then connect our things once that we actually need it. But having your database set up properly, plus having the API connected already, will definitely help you. Now we're actually connecting WhatsApp. This is a very important skill to have. So many businesses communicate through WhatsApp, and Meta isn't so open with their API. You actually have to do some verifications through Meta if you want their official API. So there are some services, and one in particular which I like a lot, it's called WAPI, WhatsApp API in the end. It's a WhatsApp API for developers and integrations. And you can start with a free demo, so you can just go to get started for free, press on it. You will then probably have to log in with your account, and here you can press on add channel. When you do that, you will be prompted to just scan a QR code with your phone. It's very easy to do, and once you have it done, your dashboard of your channel will look something like this. The very important things right here are our API URL and our API token. Since I'm on a free trial, you can happily see that. Connect my phone number and text whoever you want. I'm fine with it. And then you also have all the different codes and stuff that you need to actually be able to send a message, right? But to do this, you will obviously just give your AI the link of WAPI and tell them about the documentations and to read it through, and WAPI or our Gemini API will then do this automatically for us. So the connection for me wasn't really a problem to set up. You really just need your URL and your API token and you will be ready to go. Okay friends, we have our MVP and you see it did a great job. It did it very similarly to how I already had it, but because I gave it a screenshot and because it is the same app that we are building or a similar one, this is why it is like that. So we have all the filters here actually working. We see the people who arrived today. What we cannot do is, for example, send WhatsApp messages yet. So this doesn't work. When we press on a card, there is nothing opening up where we see more details. We can already add notes right here. So I just tried it out before and somewhere, where is it? I added a note probably under here. So let's say we add a note, we go to here, say hello, we add this note, you see the timestamp, and you actually see that inside of Jermaine Silver, we now have notes and history. I like this a lot. So I think this is an amazing thing. You can add the room numbers right here, which is amazing. They added some kind of, like the UI is pretty beautiful. Just those things right now are not working yet. The client section is not working yet and the inbox section is not working yet. So this is why we are now making improvements, right? This is what we are doing now. So if we go back to our course and we'll have a look at here, what we did now is the dashboard design. We have the first design. So this is done. This is beautifully done actually. What we need to do now is make improvements on it, right? Just make sure all of those things work properly. Our connection to Firebase is working already, so this is good. Now we want to do the WhatsApp connection, just make sure that this is fine. And we also want to make sure that every button is working and so on. And afterwards we will deploy the whole thing. To improve our dashboard, I now told it to actually set up the WhatsApp API connection. I gave it all of those tokens and so on that I showed you before. Always make sure to put those things in your .env folder or in a token.json inside of here, and have this token.json inside of your git ignore just to be safe. This means when we export our project to GitHub, for example, our token.json will not be exported there. So make sure to just be careful about those things. We don't have our Google Sheet type of view yet, right? When we go to clients, nothing is showing up here. But when I go into my main app right here, I see that under clients, I actually have all of those clients showing up. So this is what I want. Some filters on top where you can filter per destination, whether you sent a message already, and so on and so on. And obviously I also want the inbox. So just told it to fix those things and it's now going to work. Let's have a look. Antigravity will also always create a task list. You can just press on it and it will open up in here. And then you see the different tasks that it is now going to do, right? Planning and setup, infrastructure setup, notes and interactions, and so on. And you can just make a comment on this thing and it will then consider that comment and actually act on behalf of whatever you tell it to do there. So this is a nice way of just double checking, okay, are we steering into the right direction? Are all of these things fine? Is this what I want or not? And then you can just change those things. So yeah, now I can wait until I actually get the results and we'll see you then. By the way, just a little life hack in general. When Antigravity is stuck, and this can happen sometimes because so many people are using it at the moment, just stop what it's doing and tell it to continue and it will continue its work. Sometimes it happens that your agent is stuck and you just need to make sure to quickly stop it and then let it go again. It will be much better if you do it this way other than waiting and for it to stop. So this is something I learned painfully in the last few weeks. While we are improving our dashboard, I wanted to take a quick second and ask you to join my school community. It is free for the first 1,000 members, and I would love to have you in here. It's a community of very cool people where we learn how to make money with AI and also learn a bunch of technical things. So make sure to have a look at it. Would love to have you here, and let's continue. We are making progress, my friends. If we have a look at our app, we see that we actually have our client section like we wanted, and we can filter depending on certain things, depending on what your client thinks makes most sense. And when you press onto something, you actually see the card of the person. I absolutely love this. Then we also have the option to send WhatsApp messages, and we have multiple different templates. Look at this, so cool. We have our pickup reminder, for example, and then we can change the language, and we can have it in Russian. Okay, Russian didn't work. We can have it in German. German worked. So we can have it in French. French works. Okay, so Russian, we maybe, okay, I set the default that Russian speaking people will get an English message. So this is fun. I was able to say, okay, German people get German, French get French, Swiss people get German, Austrian people get German, and so on. And Italian probably also English. So I just have like the main few languages. You could obviously have it in as many as you want. This is something that is done very fast. And now you could actually quick send it. What doesn't work yet is open in inbox. You see that I get this white screen, so our agent is currently trying to fix that. But other than this, it looks pretty amazing already. While we are fixing the last few things, we can start a new conversation in our scraper through the agent manager, and we will already set up the backend. So what we want in the end is our app, our dashboard, not to run locally on our desktop. We want to run it in a backend database so that our client actually can have it. So we are telling our new agent to already set up this connection. Right now what we did is we stored notes and so on in our database, right? But now we also want to store all of the code, all of our API scripts and so on, like all of the scripts that we need to do those tasks inside of the backend. We have our improvements. We now see our inbox as well. What doesn't work yet is when I go to send WhatsApp and I go to open in inbox, it should open up the chat of this specific person, right? And it doesn't do this yet. So I told it to improve on that. It is working now, as we can see, but in general, it already looks very, very clean. I even like the look a little bit more than the original dashboard. So I may go to my client and tell him, hey, look, do you want the card layout to be like this? What I like a lot is this layout. I think this looks amazing. So this is very nice. And obviously we could also tell the software that we want all those things to be editable, and we can then just edit them and it will reflect back inside of our Google Sheet. Also from here we can add notes to this person and so on. So this is truly, truly stunning. If we can fix this last little mistake, we can actually save this inside of a backend and deploy it through Vercel and have it finished. Guys, we should have fixed it. So when we go to, and girls of course, when we go to send WhatsApp message and open in inbox, we now actually open up this new chat. So this is done. Perfect. Now all we need to do, since we have a fully functional dashboard right now with back and forth, Google Sheets, synchronization, a beautiful design, many different many different ways to display data, and the inbox which is actually working. What we need to do right now is to make sure our backend is working and then actually deploy the front end. I pushed all of the code to GitHub. This is our travel dashboard and I will deploy it through Vercel. We already saw this at the beginning of the tutorial, so you know exactly how this works already. Let's see if everything came through beautifully. And then we have our front end online. Everyone can actually see it, but our app is still working on our computer, meaning everything is running from our desktop. And I think for this app right now, this is probably fine. For the next thing that we need to do, our software, our SaaS product, we will definitely deploy our backend through a service like Supabase or Render or Firebase, Firestore, and so on. So if we continue to screenshot, we continue to the dashboard, we see that we probably will have a problem. No, everything looks fine. We now quickly need to refresh. Okay, no clients coming through, nothing coming through, just the UI. So quickly need to fix that, but then we have it online. Our dashboard is now beautifully showing up online in Vercel, and we actually have it running on our desktop, but can have our clients use it online. So this is perfect, and thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for building this with me, and make sure to join the next session when we are building a full SaaS product. I'm super excited. Welcome to the last real build. We will be building a SaaS product right now, and we will do this inside of a new folder, just so you see once more how to set everything up correctly. You press yes, I trust the offers, and what's the first thing we always do when we create a new folder? We instruct our AI agent properly. How can we do that? We go back to our school community right here. We grab our resources, our Gemini.md. We copy all of those things. It's always faster from the down up like this. Beautiful. You copy this, you come back to Antigravity, you paste it in, you press Command S, or you go to File and Save. And right now you can say initiate, and your AI agent will actually read through those things and then create a beautiful folder structure. Let's get a quick overview over what we are building right now. The product idea is to have a minimalist task and notes web app that feels like Notion meets Apple reminders. The vibe is a calm modern UI, single accent color, smooth micro interactions, and mobile first layout that looks great on desktop as well. Here are the core screens, so we definitely want to have an authentication workflow in there. We want to have a dashboard with a left sidebar where we see today, upcoming, all tasks, notes, calendar, and settings. Then a main area labeled today, where we see the things that we want to do today, and then we have how the tasks should look like, something about the notes, and then optional also an integration with the calendar. I think it's cool. And here some settings, so we could change certain things later on. And in here we have some assistance for our AI already, where we tell it how the data model should look like. Right now we are taking this big prompt right here and feed it to AI so it understands what we are actually building, and it will create a implementation plan for us, which we can then adapt and so on. And in this tutorial I want to make sure to show you exactly how you can connect all of those different front-end and back-end services once more, so you understand immediately how that works. So let's go back, and I don't know if you're like me and have 100 things open at a time, but here we are inside of our SaaS course Workspace, and we paste this in and we let this go, and our agent will now quickly read through it, will understand the task that we gave it and create an implementation plan. We will then do all of the authentications one by one, store all of those things inside of our env file, so we don't export it anywhere, right? So everything is safe, and then we will actually build, connect all the things. Super excited to do this project with y'all. We now got the implementation plan for our software right here, and I will quickly read through it, change the things that I want to change, and now have the implementation plan in front of me. I will change the things that I want to change, and I'll tell it that the first thing that I want to do is set up all the different passwords, all the different logins for the sites that we'll need later on, so it can just go off and do its thing afterwards. Doing this at the beginning of the recording will save us so much trouble later on, so this is why I want to do it now, and it should just tell me every single platform that we use, like what it needs exactly, right? And now you see already it's telling me create a Firebase project. It's telling me exactly how I need to do it. Enable authentication, enable Firestore database, and so on and so on. Create a web app and get API keys. Do this, do that. And now I will do all of those things and feed them to Antigravity, so it has everything that it needs to afterwards be able to build this thing. First I need to create a project in Firebase. I press on the link that I got and I go to continue like that, select an account, Google Ads account, and now I create a project. The second step is to enable authentication. On the left sidebar, click authentication, then click get started. Under sign-in providers, click email password, enable email password, click save. So let's go there, and you see on the left side you can open this build thing. You can go to authentication right here, and now we get started just as we have it inside of our instruction in Antigravity. We go to email password, good. We now go to enable, we save it like this, and sign in with Google is recommended to reduce password, okay. So let's do this as well. Let's go to add new provider and add Google as well. Do it just like this, enable. This looks fine. Support email for project. Let's take my one. This looks good. And now we save. And now we also have Google authentication. You see how easy that was. Next up, we need the Firestore database. On the left sidebar, click Firestore database. Then click create database. Select your location and so on. Click enable. Good. So we go back. Sorry, to Firebase. We go to build, we go to Firestore database. We now press on create database. Let's give it a second until it loaded successfully, just like that. We go to create database, we go to standard edition, we press next. Location, I'm in Europe, so I press next. We are in test mode, so we go create, and we already have our database created. Let's go to the next step. Now we need to add a web app. Go back to project overview, click the web icon to add a web app to the project. Name it Clearboard Web and then register app, and then we need the API keys and so on. So let's go back here and let's add app in our project overview just like this, and add a web app. So we need this one. We go here and we call it Clearview like that. Good. Also set up Firebase hosting for this app. We don't do this. We will use a different provider just to show you that you can like do one thing in Firebase, do another thing with Vercel and so on. However, we will not do this for the moment. We will register the app, however. We will wait a few seconds. Now we need the code of our web app. So what we do is, if you're in your project overview, you go to Clearview, just like that. You press on this settings icon, and in general, you go down, and now we need to give our Gemini, our anti-gravity workspace, all of those things. So we come, we get it, and we go back to anti-gravity and give it this code like that, and now we have Firebase connected. I also added a security module in here. So here just a bunch of things that we can quickly go through. So we must secure user data, payments, API keys, database access, and backend endpoints, obviously, if we want to have a real running software. So step number one, never expose secret keys. That's why we use our .env file and our .git ignore, right? So here you see what's correct, what's wrong. Have a minute and just go through all of those things. Step two, use environment variables and so on. This is what I just said. Then add environment variables to git ignore. I was too fast already. Secure API routes, but your Gemini will normally do that. Secure database access, so Firebase rules and so on. Just make sure to quickly go through this and have a look. It's important that your projects will be secure at the very beginning, like when you have just a few clients. It's still fine, right? Like not fine in a way of you should still do it, but the world will not collapse if something happens. But if you work for a company and they have very sensitive data and someone is able to get in there, then we have big problems. So make sure that when you're working with sensitive data, which at the moment, I am not, right? I'm creating a note-taking app just to show you. If you see the API key there, it's fine for me. Whatever you do in this Firebase instance, it's fine for me. But if you are working with very sensitive data, make sure to watch out. While one agent is writing the login logic and so on, let's already open the agent manager right now and start a new conversation in our SaaS course Workspace, just like that. Start new conversation in here, and what we will do is already set up the Stripe integration. hey, please help me set up the Stripe integration for afterwards. Give me step-by-step instructions. We will leave it in test mode at the beginning. Give me all the links I need as well. You will find instructions on how to connect Stripe in here, but what I like to do in most of the cases, and I just would like you to do the same thing and to work like this, because I cannot always be there and give instructions, right? You don't always have them in some kind of community or whatever. Most of the times you will need to figure out with your agent how exactly you want to approach a task. And so I told my agent exactly that I want to integrate Stripe for afterwards, and it will now give me the step-by-step instructions to do that. I also told it that I want it to be in the Stripe test mode at the beginning, just because it's a little bit easier to set everything up. We got our instructions for Stripe, so first we need to get our API keys. So we go to our Stripe dashboard. I will probably need to log in with two-factor authentication, and once I've done that, I'll show you. You will then have standard keys here, and it will tell you exactly which keys you need to import. So you need the publishable key and the secret key. So you take these and you actually add them to your .env file that we already created. After this, you will need to create Stripe products. So you go on here, again, you just press on the link, it will take you there immediately, and now you can create a product, which I just did before. So I have my Clearview Premium right now. You press on it, and in here you will get the product ID, which you will need. And the last thing you will need is the price ID. You get this by pressing on the price and copying this right here. With those four things, the secret key, the publishable key, the price ID, and the product ID, you'll actually be able to set up the Stripe payment. Now you give your agent all of those informations and you add it to your .env file, and then you have one agent building the UI and so on, and another agent already creating this Stripe connection, and later on we can just like combine those things. Something that could be helpful along the lines is when you have problems, when something is just not working, you can go in your local host, you press on inspect, and you then see the error messages showing up. You then just take a screenshot of them, like just like that. You take a screenshot of your error message and you go back and you feed it to Antigravity. At the moment, the build, let's say, of the UI is having some problems. It's not showing up in my local host. So what I do is I just go back and I tell it what the errors are and let it figure those out by itself. In the meantime, I quickly switched my model to Claude Sonnet because I had some issues with Gemini. The UI just wouldn't show up. I always had error messages and so on. Gave it to Claude and now it worked. Let's quickly go to our local host. This is what it looks like. We don't have an account yet, so let's create one. Email would be my email and password would be just a general password. Let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like that. Let's sign up, at least 6 characters, so add a 6. So let's sign up, and this is what we get, an error message in the app. So what do? We go to inspect like this. We have some kind of error message, nothing showing up right here. So this is not amazing. What we can do is tell Claude that we got an error message when we wanted to log in. We should have fixed the problem if I go to sign in, because I already have an account, and I go to email and I go to this one and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and I sign in. I actually have my dashboard. I have my note, which I added before, just to see if it works. I mean my task right here. I have pin notes, no notes yet, so I could add notes. Let's say a new note, and again hello, and here we have Velo, and I save this. I see my note inside of my dashboard. I don't see pinned notes. Can I somehow pin this note? Will it now show up here? Yes, now it will show up here. The calendar integration, as I said, is optional and we could add it. So this is a very simple dashboard, right? You can sign out and now we could actually add lots of stuff. But the cool thing is the sign in actually worked and all of those things worked as well. So let's say we wanted to add the calendar, but to add the calendar you need to pay. So this would be our premium option later on, which for this video we will not add. I will make a full course on how to create SaaS products, and there I will go fully in detail. This course is about like just mastering Antigravity, right? right? So this will be our paid product. Let's say I tell it to make the UI a little bit cleaner. Well, we wanted this Notion Apple type of look, right? So it looks very clean, not much going on, just tasks you can tick off. So I think this purpose is served. Yeah, let's connect Stripe, and then let's make the backend run on render.com, the front end on Vercel, and actually have it online. So if you return to Firebase and you actually logged in, you will see that you have a user right here, right? You have the users and you see this right there. And in your Firestore database, you will also see that this, well, like which user added what type of things to their dashboard, right? And this is super cool. So here I see that I added my hello node or task. This was the node. Here I see what type of task the user added. So again, hello right here. So this is where you can double check what type of users you have and what they did inside of your software. This is amazing. And look at that. Right now the calendar is locked as a free user. You could upgrade for $9. Right now this webhook does not fire correctly. We are quickly fixing that. But we have our locked feature right here, which is super nice. Dashboard still beautiful. We added a profile section where you can change your avatar, so this is cool. Okay guys, actually second thoughts. I wanted to show you how to use Render to set up the backend, but we can do the same thing with Vercel. And Render is a nice service, but what I saw, and especially I think for you who will not be doing 20 different softwares at a time, you want something that is free, right? Like as little cost as possible. And that's why I decided not to go with Render at this moment. In Render you can just have one project and then you need to upgrade to Pro. I thought they are a little more generous with it. It's amazing to store your backend, but you can also do it in Vercel and have the front end on Vercel as well. I just thought I'd show you some new tools that you might want to use. But since we also want to like stay in budget, right, keep it cheap wherever we can, let's not use Render in this case. Let's actually go with Vercel as our backend and right now push everything to GitHub and Vercel, and then we have everything in one place, meaning we have we store our data in Firebase. This is still the case, but we don't have the backend and the front end in different places. I just wanted to show you that it is possible, that you don't need to have backend and front end at the same place, but since they're not so generous, let's go with the cheapest route, which will be Vercel. Our code is in GitHub. We got the instructions on how to deploy it on Vercel. So first we need to press this link, deploy to Vercel. Then we make sure the framework preset is next.js, which should be automatically. Then under environment variables, we need to paste all the variables from our .env file in there. So we actually can make these API calls. And it also told me to leave out one of these keys and which one and why. And then for the Firebase service account JSON variable, paste the massive JSON text from Firebase under project settings, service accounts, generate new private key in there, and then press on deploy. So in Vercel, I press on import on my note-taking app. I then see next.js, so this is fine. And right now in environment variables, I need to add every single environment variable in here. Or you can just press on import.env and press on this, and now actually import your .env. I did exactly what Antigravity told me. Just for your information, you will go to Firebase console and then it will open up this, and then you will actually go into your Clearview project, or the project however you called it for the SaaS. You then go to, give me a second, settings. Right here you go to service accounts, and in service accounts you will generate a new private key. You will get a JSON. You will copy whatever you have in your JSON and will then add it as an environment variable named Firebase service account JSON inside of your Vercel environment variables, so that the backend actually has all the passwords, has all the information it needs for the things to actually run and store the things online. Congratulations! Your project just deployed, and if we go to visit here, it should be Clearboard. We have an account already, right? So let's log in. Keep in mind, this is completely online now. This is not running on our desktop anymore. This is completely online. So we log in. Standard password bullshit. So we sign in just like that, and this is actually working. If we go to the calendar, we could be redirected to Stripe right now if we add the webhook. So this is how you actually do all of those things. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something. Now you know how you can build a simple SaaS product, how you can store data in the backend, and how you can deploy it online through Vercel, having the front end and the backend hosted for free. Welcome to the last but not least section of this course. We are building a portfolio website. There are many great places where you can get design inspiration, Dribble for example, or awards. And what I like to use a lot is Webflow, because their templates are already made for others to be taken, adapted and changed to their liking. And I found this Leandix portfolio website. My name is Leandro, so I thought this is perfect. And if we go to preview in browser, I actually like it a lot. If we have a look at that, things are moving. They have a video in here, which is very, very nice. Different things that we offer. And of course, our goal is to showcase, let's say, the different projects that we just created. So this is amazing. What we will do right now is quickly have a look at a plugin called Save All Resources. Like this, and in your Chrome Web Store you will find this plugin, Save All Resources. You will download this, and what you can then do is go to your Webflow template. Where is it? In here. You can right click it, you can go to Inspect, just like this, and now you can open this terminal up and go to your Resources Saver. You press on it, and now you press or you toggle on Beautify JS HTML and also include all assets by XHR request. And now you save all resources, and what you will get is some kind of zip file. You will double click this zip file and a folder will open up, and we will now import this folder in a Antigravity workspace. I will create a new folder and call it Portfolio Website. Now we have a blank workspace, and what we can do now is just go to File and Add Folder to Workspace. Now you go to your downloads like this, you press on this website or on the folder that we downloaded, and yes, we trust this obviously, and now we have this folder in here. What we need to do now is tell Antigravity to import this website and run it on a local host. Antigravity successfully created this local server, and now we have this website on our desktop. So we have imported it, every single animation, everything works smoothly. You see we have all the pictures and so on. The next thing that we want to do obviously is to change the text in here, right? We don't want this text from this person, but we want the text to reflect back to us and the things that we offer. To do this, I gave you a prompt inside of the community, and now you can just insert the business name you have, your industry, your target audience, and so on, and the agent will then go through the whole website and revamp the copy. While our agent is working and changing the copy, I want to add a picture of myself to the website, of course. So I'm taking this picture right here. I think it fits the overall vibe of the website. I downloaded this picture, and all I can do now is actually just copy this, go back to Antigravity and paste this picture in here. It now asks me, are you sure that you want to paste it in there? Yes. So I paste it in there. I now have this image right here. I will rename it with Hero Lele, so it knows that this is the hero picture for me. I will quickly stop it from working and actually give it the command to exchange the hero picture with this one. Please also exchange the picture in the hero section with this one. And now, will it work? Our website is looking good. My picture is here. Beautiful. We have stop wasting time on repetitive tasks and AI consultant who builds blah 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 blah. So this is actually fine. All of those animations are working well. The video thing here, I would obviously insert a video of me where I talk, where they can get to know me, and so on. Engineering your unfair advantage, the AI audit, agentic development, and so on. So this is how you can how you can create a portfolio website pretty fast. And in here you would then obviously add all your different testimonials and so on, which you want to add. But this is the easiest way to copy websites. And yeah, thank you for watching. Now we push this to GitHub and then we're almost done. Our push should be done. We have done this multiple times today already. So here it showed up in Vercel. We go to import, we go to deploy, we wait a few seconds, and then we should have our portfolio website online. Super excited. We did a lot of stuff in the past few hours. I'm very happy that you were part of this course. I hope you enjoyed it and learned a bunch of things. And if we go to continue to dashboard right now and we visit it, we will then see our portfolio website right here. Now I just saw that in here, don't just talk about AI, implement it. So this is nice. You can book a discovery call right here. You have the beautiful buttons, AI consulting, everything showing up nicely. This is a professional website. This will definitely make a good impression if you do some cold email outreach and you want to get new clients. This will definitely make a good impression. Here, of course, you can then change all the pictures and so on, just so that it fits. So you can take the 5 projects that we did already and change the pictures and so on, and in the end have a properly functioning portfolio website, which you can already use and show to your potential clients and show the things that you actually built in the last few hours, because they are of value. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe my YouTube channel. I know not everyone is subscribed yet. I would love that. And have a good one. See you soon. Adios.